Evasive, avoiding or escaping from difficulty or danger or commitment. Evasive, deliberately vague or ambiguous. Even-handed, without partiality. Exasperate, to irritate intensely, excruciating, extremely painful. Exemplify, be characteristic of. Exemplify, clarify by giving an example of. Exhort, to strongly urge on, encourage. Extenuating, making less guilty or more forgivable. Facetious, cleverly amusing in tone. Fawn, try to gain favor by extreme flattery. Ferret, to search for something persistently. Fate, to celebrate a person. Fickle, liable to sudden unpredictable change, especially. Finagle, achieve something by means of trickery or devious methods. Fledgling, young and inexperienced, describing any new participant in some activity. Murray has years of experience in family practice, but he is just a fledgling in surgery. Fleece, to deceive. Flounder, behave awkwardly, have difficulties. Flush, to be in abundance. Foible, a behavioral attribute that is distinctive and peculiar to an individual. Foolhardy, marked by defiant disregard for danger or consequences. Forthright, characterized by directness in manner or speech, without subtlety or evasion. Futile, producing no result or effect, unproductive of success. Genial, agreeable, conducive to comfort. Genteel, marked by refinement in taste and manners. Glean, collect information bit by bit. Glib, of a person, speaking with ease but without sincerity. I have found that the more glib the salesman, the worse the product. Goad, urge on with unpleasant comments. Grovel, show submission or fear. Guffaw, laugh boisterously. Hamper, prevent the progress or free movement of. Hamstrung, made ineffective or powerless. Heyday, the pinnacle or top of a time period or career. Hodgepodge, a confusing mixture or jumble. Hound, to pursue relentlessly. Humdrum, dull and lacking excitement. Illicit, contrary to or forbidden by law. Immaterial, not relevant. Impeccable, without fault or error. Impede, be a hindrance or obstacle to. Impending, close in time, about to occur. Impermeable, does not allow fluids to pass through. Implicate, convey a meaning, imply. Implicate, to indicate in wrongdoing, usually a crime. Imponderable, impossible to estimate or figure out. Impregnable, immune to attack, incapable of being tampered with. Inadvertent, happening by chance or unexpectedly or unintentionally. Inarticulate, without or deprived of the use of speech or words. Incense, make furious. Incessant, uninterrupted in time and indefinitely long continuing. Inclement, of weather, unpleasant, stormy. Inclement, used of persons or behavior, showing no mercy. Incumbent, necessary, for someone, as a duty or responsibility. Indict, to formally charge or accuse of wrongdoing. Indigenous, originating in a certain area. Indignant, feeling anger over a perceived injustice. Industrious, characterized by hard work and perseverance. Inflammable, extremely controversial, incendiary. Ingenuity, the power of creative imagination. Inkling, a slight suggestion or vague understanding. Insipid, dull and uninteresting. Insolvent, unable to pay one's bills, bankrupt. Intermittent, stopping and starting at irregular intervals. Inundate, to flood or overwhelm. Irascible, quickly aroused to anger. Irk, irritate or vex. Irresolute, uncertain how to act or proceed. Jargon, a characteristic language of a particular group. Jocular, characterized by jokes and good humor. Junta, an aggressive takeover by a group, usually military. Laborious, characterized by effort to the point of exhaustion, especially physical effort. Leery, openly distrustful and unwilling to confide. Lethargic, lacking energy. Lucid, of language, transparently clear, easily understandable. Macabre, suggesting the horror of death and decay, gruesome. Malady, a disease or sickness. Malevolent, wishing or appearing to wish evil to others, arising from intense ill will or hatred. Malleable, capable of being shaped or bent or drawn out. Malleable, easily influenced. Malodorous, having an unpleasant smell. Martial, suggesting war or military life. Maxim, a short saying expressing a general truth. Meander, to wander aimlessly. Melancholy, a deep, long-lasting sadness. Melee, a wild, confusing fight or struggle. Mesmerize, to spellbind or enthrall. Misanthrope, a hater of mankind. Miscreant, a person who breaks the law. Miser, a person who doesn't like to spend money because they are greedy. Misogynist, a person who dislikes women in particular. Moment, significant and important value. Moot, open to argument or debate, undecidable in a meaningless or irrelevant way. Morose, ill-tempered and not inclined to talk, gloomy. Morph, to undergo dramatic change in a seamless and barely noticeable fashion. Muted, softened, subdued, obdurate, stubbornly persistent in changing an opinion or action. Obliging, showing a cheerful willingness to do favors for others. Obstinate, resistant to guidance or discipline, stubbornly persistent. Ornate, marked by elaborate rhetoric and elaborated with decorative details. Paradoxical, seemingly contradictory but nonetheless possibly true. Pastoral, relating to the countryside in a pleasant sense. Patronize, treat condescendingly. Paucity, a lack of something. Peevish, easily irritated or annoyed. Perennial, lasting an indefinitely long time, eternal, everlasting. Perpetuate, cause to continue. Perquisite, a right reserved exclusively by a particular person or group, especially a hereditary or official right. Pertinent, having precise or logical relevance to the matter at hand. Perturb, disturb in mind or cause to be worried or alarmed. Peruse, to read very carefully. Pine, to yearn for. Pinnacle, the highest point. Piquant, having an agreeably pungent taste. Pithy, concise and full of meaning. Pittance, a small amount of money. Placid, not easily irritated. Plodding, of movement, slow and laborious. Ploy, a clever plan to turn a situation to one's advantage. Powwow, an informal meeting or discussion. Precarious, fraught with danger. Precedent, an example that is used to justify similar occurrences at a later time. Preempt, take the place of or have precedence over. Preemptive, done before someone else can do it. Presumption, an assumption that is taken for granted. Presumption, audacious, even arrogant, behavior that you have no right to. Presumptuous, excessively forward. Prevail, be widespread in a particular area at a particular time, be current. During the labor negotiations, an air of hostility prevailed in the office. Prevail, prove superior. Pristine, unspoiled, untouched, usu. Pristine, immaculately clean and unused. Profuse, plentiful, pouring out in abundance. Profusion, the property of being extremely abundant. Proponent, a person who pleads for a cause or propounds an idea. Provisional, under terms not final or fully worked out or agreed upon. Pugnacious, eager to fight or argue, verbally combative. Qualm, uneasiness about the fitness of an action. Quandary, state of uncertainty or perplexity especially as requiring a choice between equally unfavorable options. Quip, a witty saying or remark. Raffish, marked by a carefree unconventionality or disreputableness. Raft, a large number of something. Rakish, marked by a carefree unconventionality or disreputableness. Rankle, gnaw into, make resentful or angry. Rash, marked by defiant disregard for danger or consequences, imprudently incurring risk. Redress, an act of making something right. Relegate, assigned to a lower position. Remiss, to be negligent in one's duty. Renege, fail to fulfill a promise or obligation. Replete, completely stocked or furnished with something. Reprobate, a person who is disapproved of. Reservation, an unstated doubt that prevents you from accepting something wholeheartedly. Resignation, the acceptance of something unpleasant that can't be avoided. Resolve, reach a conclusion after a discussion or deliberation. Respite, a pause from doing something, as work. Retiring, to be shy, and to be inclined to retract from company. Retract, pull inward or towards a center, formally reject or disavow a formerly held belief, usually under pressure. Rile, cause annoyance in, disturb, especially by minor irritations. Robust, sturdy and strong in form, constitution, or construction. Sanctimonious, making a show of being pious, holier than thou. Sanguine, cheerful, optimistic. Savvy, a perceptive understanding. Savvy, get the meaning of something. Savvy, well-informed or perceptive. Scintillating, describes someone who is brilliant and lively. Screed, an abusive rant, often tedious. Sentimental, effusively or insincerely emotional, especially in art, music, and literature. Serendipity, the instance in which an accidental, fortunate discovery is made. Serene, calm and peaceful. Slapdash, carelessly and hastily put together. Smattering, a slight or superficial understanding of a subject, a small amount of something. Smug, marked by excessive complacency or self-satisfaction. Snide, expressive of contempt, derogatory or mocking in an indirect way. Snub, refuse to acknowledge, reject outright and bluntly. Sordid, involving ignoble actions and motives, arousing moral distaste and contempt, foul and rundown and repulsive. Spendthrift, one who spends money extravagantly. Spurn, reject with contempt. Squander, spend thoughtlessly, waste time, money, or an opportunity. Staid, characterized by dignity and propriety. Start, to suddenly move in a particular direction. Steadfast, marked by firm determination or resolution, not shakeable. Stem, to hold back or limit the flow or growth of something. Stipend, a regular allowance of money. Stolid, having or revealing little emotion or sensibility, not easily aroused or excited. Stymie, hinder or prevent the progress or accomplishment of. Summit, the peak or highest point. Summit, a meeting of high-level leaders. Surly, inclined to anger or bad feelings with overtones of menace. Tact, consideration in dealing with others and avoiding giving offense. Tarnish, make dirty or spotty, as by exposure to air, also used metaphorically. Tawdry, tastelessly showy, cheap and shoddy. Taxing, used to the limit, exhaust. Telling, significant and revealing of another factor. Telltale, revealing. Tender, offer up something formally. Thoroughgoing, very thorough, complete. Thrifty, spending money wisely. Thwart, hinder or prevent, the efforts, plans, or desires of. Tirade, an angry speech. Tout, advertise in strongly positive terms, show off. Transitory, lasting a very short time. Travail, use of physical or mental energy, hard work, agony or anguish. Tribulation, something, especially an event, that causes difficulty and suffering. Tumult, a state of chaos, noise and confusion. Uncanny, suggesting the operation of supernatural influences, surpassing the ordinary or normal. Uncompromising, not making concessions. Unconscionable, unreasonable, unscrupulous, excessive. Underwrite, to support financially. Unnerve, to make nervous or upset. Unprecedented, having never been done or known before. Novel. Unruly, of persons, noisy and lacking in restraint or discipline, unwilling to submit to authority. Unseemly, not in keeping with accepted standards of what is right or proper in polite society. Urbane, showing a high degree of refinement and the assurance that comes from wide social experience. Vacuous, devoid of intelligence, matter, or significance. Vanquish, come out better in a competition, race, or conflict. Variance, the quality of varying. Veneer, covering consisting of a thin superficial layer that hides the underlying substance. Vicarious, felt or undergone as if one were taking part in the experience or feelings of another. vie, compete for something. Vindictive, to have a very strong desire for revenge. Virago, an ill-tempered or violent woman. Voracious, very hungry, approaching an activity with gusto. Wanton, without check or limitation, showing no moral restraints to one's anger, desire, or appetites. Wax, to gradually increase in size or intensity. Whimsical, determined by impulse or whim rather than by necessity or reason. Zenith, the highest point, culmination. Abjure, formally reject or give up, as a belief. Abrogate, revoke formally. Adjudicate, to serve as a judge in a competition, to arrive at a judgment or conclusion. Afford, provide with an opportunity. Alacrity, an eager willingness to do something. Anachronism, something that is inappropriate for the given time period, usually something old. Anathema, a detested person, the source of somebody's hate. Anemic, lacking energy and vigor. Anodyne, something that soothes or relieves pain. Anodyne, inoffensive. Antic, ludicrously odd. Aplomb, great coolness and composure under strain. Apogee, the highest point. Apostate, a person who has abandoned a religious faith or cause. Apothegm, a short, pithy instructive saying. Apotheosis, exaltation to divine status, the highest point of development. Approbatory, expressing praise or approval. Appropriate, to give or take something by force. Appropriate, to allocate. Appurtenant, supply added support. Arch, to be deliberately teasing. Arrant, complete and wholly, usually modifying a noun with negative connotation. Arrivist, a person who has recently reached a position of power, a social climber. Arrogate, seize and control without authority. Artifice, cunning tricks used to deceive others. Artless, without cunning or deceit. Artlessness, the quality of innocence. Asperity, harshness of manner. Assiduously, with care and persistence. Atavism, a reappearance of an earlier characteristic, throwback. Attenuate, to weaken, in terms of intensity, to taper off / become thinner. Autocratic, characteristic of an absolute ruler or absolute rule, having absolute sovereignty. Autocratic, offensively self-assured or given to exercising usually unwarranted power. Baleful, threatening or foreshadowing evil or tragic developments. Base, the lowest class were without any moral principles. Bastardization, an act that debases or corrupts. Beg, to evade or dodge, a question. Bemoan, express discontent or a strong regret. Benighted, fallen into a state of ignorance. Bereft, unhappy in love, suffering from unrequited love. Bereft, sorrowful through loss or deprivation. Besotted, strongly affectionate towards. Besotted, very drunk. Bilious, irritable, always angry. Blinkered, to have a limited outlook or understanding. Bowdlerize, edit by omitting or modifying parts considered indelicate. Bridle, the act of restraining power or action or limiting excess. New curfew laws have bridled people's tendency to go out at night. Bridle, anger or take offense. Bristle, react in an offended or angry manner. Broadside, a strong verbal attack. Bromide, a trite or obvious remark. Brook, put up with something or somebody unpleasant. Browbeat, be bossy towards, discourage or frighten with threats or a domineering manner. Byzantine, intricate and complex. Callow, young and inexperienced. Canard, a deliberately misleading fabrication. The public will always be fooled by the media's canards. Capitulate, to surrender, usually under agreed conditions. Cataclysm, an event resulting in great loss and misfortune. Catholic, of broad scope, universal. Cede, relinquish possession or control over. Celerity, speed, rapidity. Chagrin, strong feelings of embarrassment. Chagrin, cause to feel shame, hurt the pride of. Charlatan, a flamboyant deceiver, one who attracts customers with tricks or jokes. Chary, cautious. Chauvinism, fanatical patriotism, belief that one's group/cause is superior to all other groups/causes. Chimera, something desired or wished for but is only an illusion and impossible to achieve. Choleric, prone to outbursts of temper, easily angered. Churlish, lacking manners or refinement. Complacent, showing a cheerful willingness to do favors for others. Complicit, associated with or participating in an activity, especially one of a questionable nature. Conciliate, to make peace with. Concomitant, describing an event or situation that happens at the same time as or in connection with another. Conflagration, a very intense and uncontrolled fire. Conflate, mix together different elements or concepts. Contentious, likely to argue. Corollary, a practical consequence that follows naturally. Cosseted, treat with excessive indulgence. Coterminous, being of equal extent or scope or duration. Countermand, a contrary command cancelling or reversing a previous command. Cow, to intimidate. Crestfallen, brought low in spirit. Crystallize, cause to take on a definite and clear shape. Cupidity, greed for money. Curmudgeon, a grouchy, surly person. Debonair, having a sophisticated charm. Decry, express strong disapproval of. Defray, to help pay the cost of, either in part or full. Deign, do something that one considers to be below one's dignity. Demonstrative, given to or marked by the open expression of emotion. Denouement, the final resolution of the many strands of a literary or dramatic work, the outcome of a complex sequence of events. Derelict, of a person, not doing one's duties. Derelict, of a building, abandoned. Desiccated, uninteresting, lacking vitality. Desideratum, something desired as a necessity. Despot, a cruel and oppressive dictator. Diatribe, a strong verbal attack against a person or institution. Diminutive, to indicate smallness. Diminutive, very small. Disabuse, to persuade somebody that his/her belief is not valid. Discursive, of e. Disingenuous, not straightforward, giving a false appearance of frankness. Dispensation, an exemption from a rule or obligation. Dissemble, conceal one's true motives, usually through deceit. Dissipate, squander or spend money frivolously. Dissipate, to disperse or scatter. Dissolution, a living full of debauchery and indulgence in sensual pleasure. Doleful, filled with or evoking sadness. Dolorous, showing sorrow. Doughty, brave, bold, courageous. Dovetail, fit together tightly, as if by means of an interlocking joint. Duplicity, deceitfulness, pretending to want one thing but interested in something else. Ebullient, joyously unrestrained. Effervescent, marked by high spirits or excitement. Effrontery, audacious, even arrogant. Behavior that you have no right to. Elegiac, expressing sorrow. Embryonic, in an early stage of development. Empiricism, any method that derives knowledge from experience, used in experimental science as a way to gain insight and knowledge. Enamor, attraction or feeling of love. Encumber, hold back. Enjoin, give instructions to or direct somebody to do something with authority. Enormity, an act of extreme wickedness. Enthrall, hold spellbound. Epigram, a witty saying. Epiphany, a sudden revelation or moment of insight. Eponym, the name derived from a person, real or imaginary, the person for whom something is named. Equitable, fair to all parties as dictated by reason and conscience. Equivocate, to speak vaguely, usually with the intention to mislead or deceive. Ersatz, not real or genuine, phony. Estimable, deserving of esteem and respect. Ethereal, characterized by lightness and insubstantiality. Evanescent, tending to vanish like vapor. Excoriate, to criticize very harshly. Execrate, to curse and hiss at. Exegesis, critical explanation or analysis, especially of a text. Exemplar, something to be imitated. Exiguity, the quality of being meager. Exorbitant, greatly exceeding bounds of reason or moderation. Expansive, communicative, and prone to talking in a sociable manner. Expunge, to eliminate completely. Expurgate, to remove objectionable material, extrapolate, draw from specific cases for more general cases. Facile, arrived at without due care or effort, lacking depth. Factious, produced by, or characterized by internal dissension. Factitious, artificial, not natural. Feckless, lazy and irresponsible. Fecund, intellectually productive. Fell, terribly evil. Firebrand, someone who deliberately creates trouble. Flag, droop, sink, or settle from or as if from pressure or loss of tautness, become less intense. Flippant, showing inappropriate levity. Flummox, be a mystery or bewildering to. Fractious, irritable and is likely to cause disruption. Gaffe, a socially awkward or tactless act. Gambit, a maneuver or risk in a game or conversation, designed to secure an advantage. Gerrymander, to manipulate voting districts in order to favor a particular political party. Graft, corruption, usually through bribery. Grandiloquent, puffed up with vanity, gumption, resourcefulness and determination. Hagiographic, excessively flattering towards someone's life or work. Hail, enthusiastically acclaim or celebrate something. Halcyon, idyllically calm and peaceful, suggesting happy tranquility, marked by peace and prosperity. Hauteur, overbearing pride evidenced by a superior manner toward inferiors. Hector, to bully or intimidate. Hedge, to limit or qualify a statement, to avoid making a direct statement. Histrionic, to be overly theatrical. Hoary, ancient. Hobble, to hold back the progress of something. Hoodwink, to deceive or trick someone. Hubris, overbearing pride or presumption. Illustrious, widely known and esteemed, having or conferring glory. Imbibe, to drink or absorb as if drinking. Imbroglio, a confusing and potentially embarrassing situation. Immure, to enclose, usually in walls. Impecunious, lacking money, poor. Imperious, having or showing arrogant superiority to and disdain of those one views as unworthy. Impervious, not admitting of passage or capable of being affected. Impetuous, characterized by undue haste and lack of thought or deliberation. Importune, beg persistently and urgently. Improvident, not given careful consideration. Impugn, attack as false or wrong. Impute, attribute, responsibility or fault to something. Inanity, total lack of meaning or ideas. Inchoate, only partly in existence, imperfectly formed. Incontrovertible, necessarily or demonstrably true, impossible to deny or disprove. Indigent, poor, having very little. Indigent, a poor or needy person. Ineffable, too sacred to be uttered, defying expression or description. Ineluctable, impossible to avoid or evade. Inequity, injustice by virtue of not conforming with rules or standards. Infelicitous, inappropriate. Inimitable, defying imitation, matchless. Insouciance, lack of concern. Insufferable, intolerable, difficult to endure. Internecine, of conflict, within a group or organization. Intimation, an indirect suggestion. Inure, to make accustomed to something unpleasant. Invective, abusive or denunciatory language. Invidious, likely to cause resentment. Inviolable, never to be broken, infringed, or dishonored. Inviolate, must be kept sacred. Irrefutable, impossible to deny or disprove. Jaundice, to be biased against due to envy or prejudice. Jejune, dull, lacking flavor. Jejune, immature, childish. Jingoist, a person who thinks that their country should be at war. Juggernaut, a force that cannot be stopped. Kowtow, to bow or act in a subservient manner. Lacerate, deeply hurt the feelings of, distress. Lachrymose, showing sorrow. Lampoon, ridicule with satire. Languish, become feeble. Lascivious, lecherous, sexually perverted. Limpid, clarity in terms of expression. Litany, any long and tedious account of something. Loath, unwillingness to do something contrary to your custom, usually followed by to. Lugubrious, excessively mournful. Machinate, engage in plotting or enter into a conspiracy, swear together. Magisterial, offensively self-assured or given to exercising unwarranted power. Malapropism, the confusion of a word with another word that sounds similar. Malfeasance, misconduct or wrongdoing, especially by a public official. Malingerer, someone shirking their duty by pretending to be sick or incapacitated. Martinet, a strict disciplinarian. Maudlin, overly emotional and sad. Maunder, wander aimlessly. Maunder, speak about unimportant matters, rapidly and incessantly. Mellifluous, smooth and sweet-sounding. Mendicant, a pauper who lives by begging. Meteoric, like a meteor in speed or brilliance or transience. Mettlesome, filled with courage or valor. Misattribute, to erroneously attribute, to falsely ascribe, used especially of authorship. Modicum, a small or moderate or token amount. Mordant, biting and caustic in thought, manner, or style. Moribund, being on the point of death, declining rapidly, losing all momentum in progress. Mulct, to defraud or swindle. Nadir, the lowest point. Nettlesome, causing irritation or annoyance. Noisome, having an extremely bad smell. Nonchalant, coming across as coolly uninterested. Objurgate, express strong disapproval of. Oblique, not straightforward, indirect. Obstreperous, noisily and stubbornly defiant, willfully difficult to control. Obtain, be valid, applicable, or true. Obtuse, slow to learn or understand, lacking intellectual acuity, lacking in insight or discernment. Officious, intrusive in a meddling or offensive manner. Ossify, make rigid and set into a conventional pattern. Overweening, arrogant, presumptuous. Palatable, acceptable to the taste or mind. Palaver, speak about unimportant matters, rapidly and incessantly. Palimpsest, something that has been changed numerous times but on which traces of former iterations can still be seen. Panacea, hypothetical remedy for all ills or diseases, a universal solution. Panegyric, a formal expression of praise. Paragon, model of excellence or perfection of a kind, one having no equal. Paragon, an ideal instance, a perfect embodiment of a concept. Pariah, an outcast. Parvenu, a person who has suddenly become wealthy, but not socially accepted as part of a higher class. Patent, glaringly obvious. Pecuniary, relating to or involving money. Pellucid, transparently clear, easily understandable. Penurious, lacking money, poor. Penurious, miserly. Percipient, highly perceptive. Peremptory, bossy and domineering. Perfunctory, done routinely and with little interest or care. Peripatetic, traveling by foot. Perspicacious, acutely insightful and wise. Phantasmagorical, elusive, unreal. Philistine, smug and ignorant towards artistic and cultural values. Phlegmatic, showing little emotion. Picayune, trifling or petty, a person. Pillory, ridicule or exposed to public scorn. Pith, the most essential part of something. Plucky, marked by courage and determination. Pollyannish, extremely optimistic. Ponderous, weighed down, moving slowly. Pontificate, talk in a dogmatic and pompous manner. Portentous, ominously prophetic. Precipitate, hasty or rash. Precipitate, to cause to happen. Presentiment, a feeling of evil to come. Primacy, the state of being first in importance. Probity, integrity, strong moral principles. Prognostication, a statement made about the future. Prolixity, warring verbosity. Promulgate, state or announce. Propitiate, to placate or appease. Prosaic, dull and lacking imagination. Prescribe, command against. Proselytize, convert to another religion, philosophy, or perspective. Protean, readily taking on different roles. Versatile. Provident, careful in regard to your own interests, providing carefully for the future. Puerile, of or characteristic of a child, displaying or suggesting a lack of maturity. Puissant, powerful. Punctilious, marked by precise accordance with details. Pyrrhic, describing a victory that comes at such a great cost that the victory is not worthwhile. Quail, draw back, as with fear or pain. Quisling, a traitor. Quixotic, wildly idealistic, impractical. Raconteur, a person skilled in telling anecdotes. Raillery, light teasing. Rapprochement, the re-establishing of cordial relations. Rarefied, make more subtle or refined. Recapitulation, a summary, think of recap. Recrimination, mutual accusations. Recrudesce, to break out or happen again. Redoubtable, inspiring fear or awe. Remonstrate, to make objections while pleading. Reprisal, a retaliatory action against an enemy in wartime. Ribald, humorously vulgar. Row, an angry dispute. Sagacious, having good judgment and acute insight. Sang-froid, calmness or poise in difficult situations. Sardonic, disdainfully or ironically humorous, scornful and mocking. Sartorial, related to fashion or clothes. Saturnine, morose or gloomy. Schadenfreude, joy from watching the suffering of others. Sedulous, done diligently and carefully. Effacing, reluctant to draw attention to yourself. Semblance, an outward or token appearance or form that is deliberately misleading. Sententious, to be moralizing, usually in a pompous sense. Simulacrum, a representation of a person, especially in the form of sculpture. Simulacrum, a bad imitation. Sinecure, an office that involves minimal duties. Solecism, a socially awkward or tactless act. Solicitous, showing hovering attentiveness. Solicitude, a feeling of excessive concern. Spartan, unsparing and uncompromising in discipline or judgment, practicing great self-denial. Splenetic, very irritable. Squelch, suppress or crush completely. Stalwart, dependable, inured to fatigue or hardships. Stultify, cause one, through routine, to lose energy and enthusiasm. Subterfuge, something intended to misrepresent the true nature of an activity. Supercilious, haughty and disdainful, looking down on others. Surfeit, an excessive amount of something. Surreptitious, stealthy, taking pains not to be caught or detected. Sybarite, a person who indulges in luxury. Temerity, fearless daring. Tempestuous, as if driven by turbulent or conflicting emotions, highly energetic and wildly changing or fluctuating. Tendentious, likely to lean towards a controversial view. Transmute, change or alter in form, appearance, or nature. Trenchant, characterized by or full of force and vigor, having keenness and forcefulness and penetration in thought, expression, or intellect. Truculence, defiant aggressiveness. Truculent, having a fierce, savage nature. Turgid, of language, pompous and tedious. Turpitude, depravity, a depraved act. Tyro, someone new to a field or activity. Umbrage, a feeling of anger caused by being offended. Unassailable, immune to attack, without flaws. Unflappable, not easily perturbed or excited or upset, marked by extreme calm and composure. Unforthcoming, uncooperative, not willing to give up information. Unimpeachable, free of guilt, not subject to blame, beyond doubt or reproach. Unprepossessing, creating an unfavorable or neutral first impression. Unpropitious, of a circumstance, with little chance of success. Unstinting, very generous. Untenable, of theories etc., incapable of being defended or justified. Untoward, unfavorable, inconvenient. Untrammeled, not confined or limited. Unviable, not able to work, survive, or succeed, also spelled inviable. Vaunted, highly or widely praised or boasted about. Venial, easily excused or forgiven, pardonable. Verisimilitude, the appearance of truth. Veritable, truthfully, without a doubt. Vicissitude, change in one's circumstances, usually for the worse. Vitriol, abusive or venomous language used to express blame or bitter deep-seated ill will. Vitriolic, harsh or corrosive in tone. Vituperate, to criticize harshly, to berate. Zeitgeist, spirit of the times.